Come on in, pull up a chair, and take a load off because today I'll be reviewing and paging through Pathfinder Lost Mammoth Valley from Paizo Inc. This is the second chapter of the Quest for the Frozen Flame adventure path. Will this new tale provide your players with a mammoth-sized good time? Or should this adventure get lost, just like that valley? Well, you're going to find out right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, today I'll be reviewing and paging through Pathfinder Lost Mammoth Valley from Paizo Inc. This 96-page softcover, written by Jessica Catalan, carries an MSRP of $24.99, or if you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do that for $17.99. So without further ado, let's jump on over to the other camera because here I've got Lost Mammoth Valley. Few things before I jump on in. First off, the fine folks over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share my thoughts about this adventure with you. And these days, it's important that you know that. Also, this is an adventure, so as much as I'm going to try to stay away from major spoilers, there are going to be spoilers. So if you are a player hoping that your game master is going to run Lost Mammoth Valley, I would definitely recommend tune out now. Don't have all the fun and surprises ruined simply because you are watching a 15-minute review. Plus, there's over 1,300 other videos on the channel. Go check out one of the other ones. All right, hopefully it's just game masters and myself. Lastly, I'm going to say picture-in-picture up here, so that means I'm going to be cutting off the upper left portion of the book as we page through. Speaking of paging through, we are not going to look at each and every page of the adventure, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's contained in the book, things that I like about the tale, things I'm not so keen on, and provide some final thoughts as well. So let's flip this on over, take a look at the blurb on the back. A land lost to time. With danger close behind, the broken tusks journey through the bountiful but treacherous Lost Mammoth Valley in search of the primordial flame. The Tusk scouts will need to solve the riddles of the ancient valley and recruit a motley league of followers, all while evading the watchful gaze of the Vale's villainous overlords and unraveling a legendary artifact's mythical past. The quest for the Frozen Flame adventure path continues with Lost Mammoth Valley, a complete adventure for 4th to 7th level characters. All right, let's jump on in. First off, let's give some credit here to the various different artists. I would actually try to pronounce their names, but I guarantee I'd screw up about 70% of them, so I'd rather not. So on the back of the front cover, we have the map for the Calamity Caves, which is going to be the first part of this adventure. If you are not overly familiar with what's going on in the quest for the Frozen Flame, just quick recap. There is this ancient artifact, the primordial flame, which can control the environment. It can control weather effectively, and it's been lost. Nobody knows where it's at. Well, there's thoughts of where it could be. But this one tribe, a very warlike martial tribe, the Burning Mammoths, think that the player character's tribe, the Broken Tusks, have it, or at least know where it's at. So they go and they're looking to destroy the Broken Tusks to get the primordial flame. And if that wasn't enough, they've also got an alliance with frost giants. So they it's not a very strong alliance though. So if either one of them gets that primordial flame, I'm sure that alliance is over. So we're going to start off. We got the Calamity Caves. So what's happened is the Broken Tusks have had to flee. They are a nomadic tribe, but they've fled from the burning mammoths, and they were able to buy themselves some time by collapsing a pass. Once they were through, they collapsed the pass. So now it's going to take some time for the burning mammoths to follow them. So the player characters are scouts for their tribe. And the tribe is known as a following. And one of the cool things I like about this adventure path so far is the player characters have all these various different opportunities to be able to recruit new allies to their cause. Some of them animals, some of them intelligent creatures. But I like that. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. As the players progress, they're going to find their following grow. In fact, it's not out of an imagination for them to actually add about 100 new followers in this adventure alone. So the player characters find themselves at the Calamity Caves, which is their entrance into the Lost Mammoth Valley. But the problem is they have to find a way that they can get through and actually allow their mammoths to travel through these caves. So you're going to find that the player character is going to adventure through here. They've got some pretty cool set pieces, some pretty cool encounters that they can run across. There are some interesting monsters in here as well. They have an opportunity to meet a new ally as well. And once they're able to trace a path through the caves, they find themselves in the Mammoth Valley. And the valley is actually under the iron fist of a dragon who actually has the primordial flame. And that's why the players are there, is because they've learned that that's where the primordial flame probably is. But there's also a powerful necromancer and his followers that they have to deal with as well. So what happens in the second part is a good deal of time is going to pass. So it's about 3 months before the burning mammoths are able to start making their way through that collapsed path. So the player characters have some time to regroup. They have time to explore the valley, as well as make some new friends and get some new allies as well. There are people who live within this valley as well. And there's various tribes, and the player characters are going to try to earn their trust, basically. One aspect that I really like is that these native people who live within that valley, they're not too keen on strangers. So the player characters are really going to have to up their game in order to be able to impress them enough to be able to bring some of them over to their cause. So once again, plenty of opportunities for combat and some role play, some social role play as well, with the various different peoples and the various different possible allies as well. I do want to mention that it's really important that the game master doesn't try to rush through this. This portion of the adventure, I could easily see take a couple of sessions or more if you really want to flesh things out. And the reason why you don't want to rush through it is the player characters need to be 7th level when they hit the finale. And not only that, they also need to have added a lot of allies to their cause, because taking on the necromancer and the dragon is going to be a very difficult task indeed. And that's when we get to the third portion of the adventure, White Hot. This is the big finale, the big battle. This is where the player characters are going to hopefully get the primordial flame, which is cursed. So now they're going to have to find a way to remove the curse. So that's what's going to take place here. This is the assault on the stronghold of the necromancer and the dragon. And once they defeat the dragon, they will be able to get not only the primordial flame, but also a way to leave the valley. Because it's interestingly enough, the dragon actually has frozen an area of the valley, and there's actually a pass out of the valley that is all iced over that nobody can get through. So that is essentially the only way that the player characters are going to be able to get out of the valley, because, of course, through the caves, you now have the burning mammoths on their tail once again by the time we get to the conclusion of this adventure. The conclusion will find the player characters leading their following out of the valley to another settlement where they think they might be able to find some relief. And that, of course, is going to be in the third chapter and finale of the quest for the Frozen Flame. All right, so then we get into a section here. We got the religions of the realm. So we have a discussion of various different religions of the people of the Lost Mammoth Valley itself. Some of these deities exist other places in Galarian, and they're just kind of adjusted a little bit because the worshipers are a little different. So this is actually quite a lot of information in here, and I thought it was pretty cool. Then we have a section on megafauna, because the player characters are going to encounter a lot of megafauna, such as like mammoths, and they're going to be able to possibly recruit some of these animals into their following, which I thought was pretty cool as well. Then we get into our adventure toolbox. We actually get the stats for the primordial flame and what it does. We get some necromancy spells, a couple of new ones, some equipment, some magic items as well. And then, of course, we're going to get into our bestiary. Oh my gosh, the beaver! It's the worst. Oh my gosh. There actually is a giant beaver. So they could be, like megafauna kind of beaver there. So I will point out that a lot of the entries in the bestiary, the majority of them are natural sort of creatures or megafauna. And then we get our necromancer, who is one of the big bads. And then we get our dragon, who is the big, big bad. And that wraps up the adventure. So let's swing on over to the other camera, and I will share some final thoughts and give this a review score. I've been liking the quest for the Frozen Flame adventure path so far. I thought the first chapter was pretty good. There were some points I'm like, I would certainly not run it that as it's written, but I like the epic feel of it. At the same time, I appreciate the fact that the player characters aren't trying to save the world. They're just trying to save their people. And I think that's very cool. And I think that will really resonate with a lot of players if the game master can pull it off. And that's one of the things that I mentioned in my review of Broken Tusk Moon, is that the game master really has to invest in the following. They have to make it important. They have to make these NPCs more than just stat blocks that help the player characters out, because they're going to lose members of the following. They'll be killed because they fight alongside the scouts, the player characters. So you want to make sure that you make the players invest in these NPCs, because when they fall, it means that much more. And when the player characters are able to save their people, it's going to mean so much more. So I think this is going to be an adventure path that is a little trickier for some game masters to really get the most out of. But I honestly think really good game masters are going to have a hell of a good time running this if they focus on the personal story of these player characters. So the first chapter, when they're in the caves, there's some cool encounters. There's some interesting new creatures there as well. Definitely like that. My favorite part of this chapter of the quest for the Frozen Flame is the valley itself. The bit of a hex crawl that's there, all the different peoples that they can ally with. I love the fact that these natives are very suspicious of strangers, and it is possible that they could try to turn the player characters over to the necromancer, who they hate. They hate the dragon too, but they're not just sitting there like, hey, hooray, new people, we're saved, or anything like that. So I do like that as well. When we get to the finale, that's where I think this adventure path stumbles a bit. But I think this is more of this is like a Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing, where it's almost always a combat with the big bad. And I get that. It's just, there's a lot of combat that's taking place in this chapter. Tons and tons of combat encounters in Lost Mammoth Valley. And when you're constantly throwing combat encounters at your players, at least many players that I know, it starts to get a little dull. It just kind of gets into, yeah, we're just rolling dice, rolling dice, rolling dice. I would probably trim down some of the combat encounters and then adjust others so the player characters are getting more XPs. Because once again, remember, you have to make sure that the player characters are 7th level when they hit that finale. Otherwise, they're going to have a really tough slog. All in all, I like Lost Mammoth Valley. I think it's very cool. I think this adventure path is moving in the right direction to be something that people are really going to enjoy. So on a scale of 0 to 10, I give Lost Mammoth Valley an 8 out of 10. I have some quibbles. I think there's way too much combat. But all in all, I think a good game master is going to be able to really utilize this material to make something memorable for their players. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when I upload videos such as this review, it'll also let you know when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you so much for taking time out to watch this video. And until I see you next time, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.